Well, again, thank you for inviting me. Super happy, Robert, that you made the connection. Um, I usually start with a couple of slides to introduce myself, but I'm gonna do a real quick, just a few words about who I am and why I'm here this morning, evening, today. So my name is Yannick Gaultier. I'm a developer. Sorry, I live in France, and I've been working with Joomla for probably, like many of you, for a number of years. 20. I think I started in 20. Really, starting in 2005, just when it was released. I did a bit of work with Mambo as well before that. And since 2007, I have developed extensions, and from the start, all of the extensions that I've made were dedicated to SEO, and by extension, they were also dedicated to content, generating content and managing content. So today, this means a lot of AI, but not only, because there are some bases to SEO and essentially getting traffic to your websites that are still needed in these AI times. I run a company that's a small company, which is essentially two people, called Weebler.com, or called Weebler, and you can find everything we do at Weebler. I have a whole bunch of extensions only for Joomla, and this is the only thing we do. I don't do any custom work or any custom website. I just do extensions. There's a whole lot of them. Probably the most well-known one is for SEO, or maybe you've heard of the previous one, because all these range of extensions that I'm doing now, I've essentially been rebuilt from scratch starting 2020. But before that, and for a number of years, I was making an all-in-one SEO extension called SH404Ceph. Some of you may have used it. It's gone now. It's been replaced by what you see now. So the most well-known one is for SEO, and the most recent one is for analytics, a private analytics extension for Joomla, also now with AI inside. An AI assistant called 4AI. We're not going to look at that in details today. 4COMMAND, which I love so much, and it's the only extension that I do that's not related to SEO or to creating content or optimizing content, but it's a great extension. And today we are going to talk just a little bit of 4COMMAND, and then about 4SEO. I also have a podcast extension, which lets you run a full podcast from your Joomla website, straight from your Joomla website, while still being able to distribute it over at Spotify, Apple Podcast, and other platforms. And finally, I have this extension called 4Ceph, which lets you manage Ceph URLs in a SEO-oriented way. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to switch to a sample website. Here, that's my dev website, one of my development websites. Okay, so first, feel free to interrupt anytime if you have a question. There's no need to wait for the end, because it's easier. This is going to be just a demonstration showing things off. So just feel free to interrupt. One thing I wanted to mention is that all these extensions are paid for. You do have a lot of documentation for each of them. You find that on the website. It's open. You can go and read the documentation for each of these extensions. Obviously, that's the most detailed source of information. All of them are here. Okay. Let's go back to the site and let's go back. So this is a stock Joomla website. I'm going to start with 4COMMAND. 4COMMAND is a small, I like to call it small. It's not that small, but it's an extension to help you navigate quickly your Joomla admin. It's maybe a problem you don't think you have, but I created it. I have to be honest, even though it's recorded. When Joomla 4 and 5 came out, I with this new user interface, I had trouble, like many, finding out my way around the admin, the Joomla admin, because I was so used to the Joomla 3 version. And so I started working on that concept of what's called a command palette. So a command palette is essentially something that's always available to you, that you bring up with a keyboard shortcut. So the keyboard shortcut for 4COMMAND is, you probably saw it, it's Alt Control X, and that's configurable. And so 4COMMAND is something that brings you a list of nearly everything that you can do in a Joomla admin, and then you type and select it to reduce that list, and you press enter, and you perform an action, or you go someplace. So it's easier to show. You probably don't realize that, but when you have a Joomla website with just a few extensions and a few articles, you have a lot of things that you can do. I have here, it displayed that number. For instance, at this moment, 4COMMAND is aware of nearly 900 actions or things or places you can go or things you can do within the Joomla admin. So that's a lot, and I don't remember all of them. That's why I made 4COMMAND to go and find them. So let's say that you just want to go to the system page. You have that. So the way it works is that you type things to reduce the list. You probably have seen that and then you select and you press enter to go someplace. That's simply how it works. That's the basis of it. It's just navigating. So you can go to, sorry. Yeah, no, I was ahead of myself. So yeah, sorry about that. Let's go back to system. So that lets you navigate to whatever Joomla pages is offering. And then you have some shortcuts, like I'm going to open the list. You've got shortcuts that you can use to go directly to some places. This is a lifesaver for me. So you have predefined shortcuts, like, let me bring that, enhance this a little bit. Alt Control S to go to the system page. You can go to the global configuration by pressing Alt Control G. You can clear the cache by pressing Alt Control C, and so on. You got a whole installing extensions, for instance, is something I do a lot, and you probably do a lot as well when you set up websites. So you can just hit Alt Control to go to the site is really slow. It's running on my local Windows machine for various reasons. I had to use that site here for the demo. So this is how you navigate. You can go to your users by pressing Alt Control U and so on. So that's the first quick way of using it. Now, the second thing that it does is enhance the Joomla behavior. Like, it will add shortcuts as well to all these buttons in the toolbars. So in essence, in short, and that's what I wanted also, is that now if you're somewhere, you can just press Control S to save. So any article you're modifying, any item, this is a user, you can just press Control S and you can save whatever you are doing. And there are other shortcuts to save and close, and other shortcuts to save and new, and so on. There's a shortcut to go to your article list. So one of the important things to understand is that this is always available to you. You don't have to navigate and open that sidebar here to go to a component, to go to some other places. So I'm here in my article list, but if I want to go to the global configuration, I'm just going to press Control G, and that's it. It's working. I can go back to my articles, press Alt Control A, and that allows you to navigate super quickly across Joomla admin, but it also lets you find things that maybe you're not using that often, and you don't know exactly where they are. And now the point is that you don't need to know where they are to enable or disable things, or to go and travel to things. Let me try. Like, if you don't know exactly, so it's yeah. For instance, the authentication plugins, I never know where they are, or I don't know, if you want to, if you want to use the web service API, I don't know where all these things are. So I can find them super easily this way. So that's the second level, navigating and going to other places. And then the third level of how 4COMMAND is used is that it has some pre-built actions that do not exist in Joomla proper. One of them is, and you have this list here. One of them is clearing the cache. So you can, of course, clear the cache at any time. But normally, let's say we are editing an article. Here it's a simple article, a bad one, which was created by the AI assistant. So now you are on the front end and you want to look at what's happening here, but your website has caching enabled. You can just press Alt-Control-C, and the cache has been cleared here. So this is happening in the background, and you don't have to see it, but you don't have to navigate or have another tab open to clear the cache. So there's a whole series of actions that you can take. One of them, for instance, is switching editors. So let's say we are using TinyMCE at the time, but there's something you want to do with Code Mirror. You want to have some direct HTML being entered. So you select switch to Code Mirror. You reload the page, and I am now going to be using Code Mirror instead, and I can make my change. And I can reopen. I can reopen and type Tiny, and I'm pressing enter, and I'm switching back to TinyMCE like that. So that saves me going to global configuration, either saving my my article here, traveling to or navigating to the global configuration, switching, saving, going back to the article, and so on and so on.
So Yannick,
yes.
Just asking, your article, whilst you were switching editors, it just stays there. You don't have to save it or anything like that.
Yeah, you do have to save it, because you have to reload the page, because Joomla is not able, unfortunately, Joomla is not able to by itself switch editor. So Joomla has to rebuild the page. So you do need to have your article saved when you do that.
That's fine.
But that does save you quite a fair bit of navigation to switch these to switch editors. So again, in that series, you can one thing that gave me trouble all the time is that emptying the trash. You know how the going to the trash to view trashed items is a little bit of trouble, and to clear all the trashed items is a little bit of trouble. So now you have you type trash, and this button, there's a configuration whenever you need to delete something or there's a risk of losing some data. So I just press yes, and then now it's working, and the trash has been emptied. So it becomes natural. It's like Control S to save. It becomes a habit because it's so quick and easy. Other actions I wanted to mention. Yeah, this one is good. Is that you can enable and disable any plugin on the system with just a command like that. So let's say there are some errors happening, and you want to switch to the maximum reporting of error level. So you say something like error max, for instance. You probably noticed that what I type here it's really, you don't have to type full commands. The ordering doesn't matter and so much. You just search for something. I have it. It's now selected here, error reporting maximum. I confirm, press enter. And then now the error level has been switched to maximum. And so I can open the site in another tab and check if there is any error, which there shouldn't be. But it's, let me switch to, again, debug. When you have a problem and you want to enable debugging, because you have a 500 error and you just got that cryptic message and you don't know what's happening, you can enable system debug, enable, for instance. And now debugging has been enabled on the site, and you can switch it back. No, I need to be, sorry, I need to be logged into for debug information to be displayed, but it's enabled. I'm going to switch it off. Okay, and maybe one of the last few things that all plugins on the system, you can enable or disable them by just adding on or off at the end. So if I want to, for some strange reason, what is a plugin that you would like to log in? Okay, let's say you have plugins and modules. So let's say you want to remove the login module for some instance, you're going to type login off and press enter, and this will unpublish the mod login module on the sidebar right. Okay, so that works for, I think I have it here. Yeah, so the module is gone, and login on, it's going to republish it. Yeah, so it's back. So it works. I'll save. So there's a whole bunch of things that you can do with these pre-recorded or preset command. And then you can enable gzipping, you can enable or disable the cache, you can change it to conservative or progressive. And the important thing is that you can do all of that. You can put the site offline. You can do all of that at any time from anywhere. It's just this box here doesn't even have to be open. You press a shortcut, you open it, you type a few keywords, a few keys, and it works. I even just recently added at the request of somebody, you can toggle the dark mode in Joomla.
Nice.
Just with a press of key, because sometimes I believe there are some extensions that don't play well with the Joomla dark mode. So I have a shortcut now. I'll Control J to toggle that. Somebody mentioned using a Mac. I'm on Windows here, but all these shortcuts that you have a list here, when you're on a Mac, they work. Everything is automatically switched to using a Control and Command or Option Command. So you get the usual keys, control keys when you do that. As you can see here, we have shortcuts to the plugins and to the site modules as well. And one thing I wanted to show among the kind of special features is that if you have a website with users, where users can register, there's one thing that's happening often. In my case, I have registered users on my website. There's one thing that is that they miss the activation email that Joomla sends them for some reason. It goes to spam, they don't see it, they forget to click the button, whatever. And in Joomla, you can't resend that email. You have to either manually, they have to create a new account, or you have to manually activate them. So what you can do with 4COMMAND is, if you're on this list here and you select a user, or one or more actually, and you say activate, I'm going to type activation email. You can resend the activation email to any users that you have selected. You press that here, you ask for command, you got a confirmation, of course, and I'm not sure if there's even a email is configured here, but you press it and it's processing user. It tells you that these users are already active. So it's checking whether these users are active, and if not, it's going to resend email to them. Sorry? What? Sorry, I didn't hear that. Okay. So that's one of the additional features that I put in the Joomla administration help or toolbox that come with 4COMMAND. What else? Okay, yeah. So there are a couple of things I just want to mention as well. There is a lorem ipsum generator. So if you anywhere you are, you have a lorem ipsum generator. You select how many paragraphs. I hope you can see that. How many paragraphs of text you want to generate, how long they should be, whether they should be some H2, H3 titles put in them, and whether they are HTML or just text. And then so you can copy that, or if we were in a let's do it. If I were to create a new article, lorem ipsum, I can go to the editor button here, and it's going to be.
Does it work with whichever editor you have selected, Yannick? So if I'm using JCE, for example, does it work with?
Oh yeah. It will work. It will work with any editor that follows the Joomla API that complies with the Joomla API. So all these editors, TinyMC and Joom. So there's JCE, of course, Code Mirror. All of that, we are able to inject things. It won't work directly with things like Joom Shaper or UTheme because they don't use the Joomla API to enter text, unless they do, because I believe in UTheme you can open up at some point. You can open up the regular Joomla, the regular Joomla editor, so that will work that time. If that doesn't work, then you use the copy button here.
Yeah.
And content is copied. Of course, it's less convenient. It's not that less convenient, in fact. So I think that So there's one last thing. It also acts 4COMMAND also acts as a simple search function. So if you press if you type a question mark and you start searching to type a few words, it's going to search within the titles of your articles. Joomla standard content essentially. So I think contact, articles, categories, and then it offers you to open the item. So I have this. It found a number of articles with working in their title. So if I press enter, it's asking me for confirmation because I already have something that's opened, and it doesn't know if it's saved, but it's going to check anyway and ask you to confirm. If you press enter, I'm going to go and edit that particular article that I selected. Yeah, so I think that's it. It's a small extension compared to the others, even though I already spent like 20 minutes or 30 minutes talking about it. But it's how do you call that? Comfort of life kind of extension that I personally can't live without, and you're guaranteed that it's going to be maintained forever because I'm just using it myself, and it's going to be here forever. It's extensible. I don't want to all of that, but it's going to let you access, for instance, all the components and extensions, even third-party extensions that you have on your website, because it's reading from the Joomla admin menu. So anything that's accessible through Joomla's menu, it's going to find it and it's going to list it here, and you can search through it.
That was my only question, was whether it worked with third-party components. So that's great.
to some extent. First, they have to be somewhat respectful of the Joomla API and Joomla, workflow.
Yeah.
To be found. I don't think I have any. I don't think I have much.
So ones that.
Yeah, I have actually JCE on that one. So if I type JCE, I can access the JCE components and all its submenu. I can go to the JCE global configuration right from there. So JCE being just an example of a regular component. So if you have Hikashop or Virtumart or another extension that's compatible, working in accordance with the Joomla standard, it's gonna work.
So I could do a quick backup then if I wanted, if I got to a sticky situation and needed to run a backup. If I had a Kiba backup installed, I could initiate that.
Well, you can certainly. I am not familiar. I mean, I'm familiar with Akiba backup. I don't know if you can trigger a backup. You could certainly go to the page where you can then press button. Yeah.
Okay.
I have to agree.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would say it's extensible in a way that first third-party developers could add more features quite easily. I could add, of course, on occasion I add more pre-built features myself. Like triggering a backup is not a bad idea. I could add that sort of thing. So features can be easily added to it. So yeah, absolutely. And you can add your own if you know a little bit of PHP. There's a thing called hooks. Where if you can with a few lines of PHP you can hook into what it's doing and add your own functions and features yourself. So that's all possible.
So Yannick, when I'm working with Joomla, I often work with multiple tabs and a couple of windows open, so I can alt tab between that. So if I've got something up in that search bar, can I right click to open it in a different tab, or will it only?
Yep. So you do that with let's see if I want to open the article list here.
Yeah.
The way you do it is that okay. So I didn't mention it, but it's fully accessible.
Right.
So one of the things is that you can. It's kind of meant to be used with a keyboard, but you don't have to. So if I press enter, you can see here that it's the article list that's selected.
You're not sharing.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. So I just typed articles, whatever, and it's selected the content articles page, which is where I want to go. And if I just press enter, it's going to go there and it's going to open it in that window. But if I either click this button here to open in a new tab, or I tab into it and I press enter, it's opening whatever action you selected into a new tab.
Right.
So
I just thought it would be useful when you were having a thought and thinking, I need to go there next, but you don't want to go there quite yet, sort of thing.
Absolutely. There are plenty of reasons to open things up in a new tab. You just want to stay where you are. So it's, absolutely. And the way you do it is that you select the action that you want to do, and you press this button here with check. It's shift enter actually. Yeah. You see, I forgot that, but it's so if I press enter, it's gonna open up the article list here in this tab. But if I press shift enter, it's gonna open up in a new window. It's so here it's doing a new window because I can't do a new tab with a keyboard. This is a technical thing. Browsers don't allow that. So, but shift enter is going to be a new window. But if you want just a new tab, it's going to be this button here.
Excellent.
Yeah, you see that happened to me. All that you're saying, it happened to me when I started working on this. So I had to put these buttons there for that. You gotta help a quick help to for the main things that it can do. and you got a keyboard shortcuts list, and you can toggle the light and dark background as well. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's it. So that's a simple extension, but I find it super useful. Okay, so
was it simple to write, Yannick?
No, I wouldn't say that.
No.
I wouldn't say that. The idea is or no. So as often, I guess, the goal is to make it super simple, and to make it super simple is usually super complicated. And for instance, with this, the tricky part was to make it accessible so that it can be used nearly all the time, wherever you are in Joomla, and not conflicts with either Joomla or third-party extensions, and still being accessible. That was pretty tricky. Make it quick. Yeah, make it quick also was a bit tricky. But now it's the basis is there. So extending and adding new features and new functions is quite nice. And the way, I mean, I didn't mention it, but all the extensions that I talked about, all our extensions, those for SEO, for Ceph, for analytics, and so on, they all work Joomla 3 through 6. So with no compatibility plugin or anything. The way the structure, the way they are structured, the way they work, make it rather easy to extend them and work the same on all Joomla versions at the moment. Okay. So I'm going to go and talk about 4SEO. So 4SEO, now we are back to what we are doing here at Weebler, and that's SEO and content. So so I'm going to mention it, and maybe you might want to discuss that later. Whenever these days I talk about SEO in general, there's the question that comes up real quick, which is, yeah, but now people are searching with AI, so should I still do SEO, and does it matter in any way? So I'm going to mention it. I'm not going to reply to that, but maybe that's a discussion we can have at the end when I have given you a tour of 4SEO. If I had to give you a hint, yes, it's still useful. Otherwise, I would have stopped working on 4SEO. But we can probably discuss that. So the goal with 4SEO is that it's an extension that automates everything that can be automated for the technical SEO on a Joomla website, and then for the rest, things that cannot be automated, it gives you all the tools that you need to perform the whatever SEO strategy or SEO work you want to do. My background is in SEO, so it's not the usual SEO Joomla extension or even WordPress extension. Sometimes you could say it's a little bit more because it's a little bit unconventional in the way it works. You might need some time to adjust from other SEO extensions you might have used, but the design and the way it works is not modeled on other existing SEO extensions. It's modeled on how Google works, or Bing and Google works, how search engine works. So the basis of it is that it works at two levels. There's one level which is entirely automated. It works in the background, and it does things for your website. It covers metadata, it covers structured data, schema.org generation. It can build a sitemap. It will generate Open Graph and Twitter cards metadata, so that when you're sharing on social networks, you have a nice view of your content. It has a content replacer extension for mostly for linking automatically content. It does all of that, and it's kind of automated. It works in the background, and then it's at its heart is a crawler. So just like Google crawls all the pages on your website, well, 4SEO does exactly the same thing, and it looks for links. It loads your homepage. It looks for links inside that homepage, and then it's going to analyze this page, and then it will repeat the process for all the links it found and all the pages on your website until it has a full view of your entire website. And the reason to do that is there are two main reasons. The first reason is that this is how you find errors and issues and broken links and things like that. And the second reason is to determine and figure out which pages on your website are canonical and which pages are duplicates, because that's unless you have a very small website, but duplicates and canonicals are really the important thing on a website, and that allows 4SEO to automatically manage canonical tags and to automatically build a website that's a sitemap that's actually a real SEO sitemap. And we'll get into that a little bit more. So these are the two things I'm going to show you. Yeah, I also have a new keyboard, so I miss a little bit. And I can't type. So this is how I'm not going to do that. Yeah, so this is a little bit overwhelming, but I just left these warnings here because they are an example of things that 4SEO can do. So this is the dashboard, and here you've got big boxes of the main areas where 4SEO works. Site analysis is green. It's okay. It's happening, and there's no problem. Structured data, probably probably the most important SEO, technical SEO things you can do on your website. Google Speed is no good, but that's expected because it's a local development website. Social networks, you're covered, and sitemaps, you're covered. Then over the course of the life of your website, 4SEO will keep in the background analyzing and checking on your pages. So it's going to alert you here about things that either are really important, this requires your attention, or ideas of things you might improve. We have a few pages here that triggers errors. So it suggests you to go to this particular other page, and that we'll see later, where errors happening, like PHP errors and any kind of errors, are recorded and listed for you. And then it's got a couple of or a few things that are a little bit more serious. It's telling you, for instance, that it found some broken links on this website, and it's suggesting that you fix them. Again, there's a page where we can go to see all of that. It's also telling you that nowadays you have AI bots visiting your website, and they may use your content for AI training, so you may want to block them or not. And you have details about that here. It's also suggesting that, because it's important these days, if you have an About Us page or an author page, you can have a special type of profile of structured data called a profile page that's going to be useful to you. So it's telling you this information and suggesting how you can add it to your website by configuring it. So I'm going to press the Remind Me Later button on all of this so that we're not overwhelmed. And then one important feature that I didn't mention in the intro is that 4SEO can be connected to your Google Search Console, so that you have all the, I assume and I hope most of you are familiar with what the Google Search Console does.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. In short, there's, I'm going to say a word because sometimes people confuse that. I can a little bit confused about that. Everybody knows about Google Analytics and Google Search Console. Google Analytics is something that measures what's happening on your website. It's a piece of JavaScript that's included in your website. And it measures traffic. Google Search Console has nothing to do with your website. Google Search Console is telling you, is measuring, and is telling you how your website is doing on google.com or google.com.au or google.fr and so on. So it's an analytics, but for their website, and they are telling you where you are, how many times, it's called impressions, how many times pages from your website have been displayed to searchers on Google. It's telling you how many clicks there were on these pages. And you can go to the Google Search Console website to see all of that. But then you have to go there, and it's a little bit overwhelming at times. So inside of 4SEO, you've got a direct connection, and you've got these numbers here, and this trend that you can see over. You've got a few selectors. This is just like a summary for a given period, and you can see how your site is doing in terms of click rate and average position. Let's see, I can remove that. So the average position here and how you're evolving. Let me go over here, for instance. One of the reasons to use this sort of thing is that there's a thing called Google Updates, which is when Google makes a significant change to their algorithm. And these changes are marked here on this calendar view, and you can see, okay, in June 2025, they made what they call a core update, and there's links to what that means and what they changed, so that you can relate changes in your performance, in your average position, and so on with whatever Google updates make, so that you can take action to fix things. So anyway, there's a direct connection to the Search Console, showing you how often you're visible in Google and how many times people are clicking on your links. And there is also a manager that's telling you here which keywords were used by visitors when they search on Google and they found your pages, the number of clicks and so on. And this is all. So this is on the dashboard. There's like a summary view. And then there's additional insights that can be extracted from the data from the Search Console, which is something special from 4SEO. You won't find that everywhere else. So this is a list made by 4SEO where it tries to find the raw data coming from the clicks and the impressions coming from and the average position coming from the Search Console. It's trying to identify pages where you actually want to work and there's the biggest opportunity for improvement. And likewise, this is the pages. There's the similar report for keywords where it's telling you which keywords would be the most interesting for you to work on and maybe provide more content or build more content to work on these to improve your traffic, essentially. Okay, so that's really SEO. That's really SEO works, and the goal here is to give you, without you having to struggle and work with spreadsheets and try to analyze the Google search data. Now the roots of that, and we are going back to what's happening on your website here, is found on the pages. So the pages page is where 4SEO tells you about all the pages it found. Let me put this, the AI assistant elsewhere. That's where it tells you, it lists all the pages it found. And that's really the dashboard for your website. It tells you all the pages. It tells you if any given pages, it finds it to be canonical or a duplicate. I think, for instance, I've made an example here. I hope you can see that. So yeah, you got these two pages, about me and about me custom, which is on purpose, something that happens a lot on Joomla website, but I did it on purpose. I made an about me page, and I made a second link, which in turn is a duplicate of the first one, just a copy. So what I wanted to show you here is that when you do that, when you're on your website, you have 2 pages with the same content. 4SEO can identify that. It found it here that this one is a canonical and this one is a duplicate, this one is a copy. And the point is that it's going to then put a canonical tag on the first one, pointing on the second one, pointing at the first one, so that Google and Bing knows which one is canonical and that they can discard this one. Likewise, the second one is never going to be included in your sitemap. That's the whole point. Maybe it's a bit technical, but it's just an example of how deep we go to make sure that we present the best version of your website to Google and Bing. So I'd like to point out as well that this is entirely automatic. You can manually customize that. If you disagree with the results, you can press here no, and this is going to change the decision from what 4SEO decided automatically. But you can also change that. But this is all automatic.
Yannick, just a quick question.
Yes.
So I've been using one of your competitors' SEO products, and one of the issues I had with them was that if I marked a page or a link, whatever, same, as canonical, the extension refused to add that link to the sitemap, their sitemap. And so I had to use an alternate sitemap product to build my sitemap, even though, so I'm using 2 extensions, plugins, whatever, to achieve the same, to achieve what should be achievable in one, if that makes sense. So I find that the fact that you can do it quite encouraging, or that the 4SEO does this.
Okay, so I have two comments here. I'm not going to, I'm not one to defend my competitors, but here they may have a point. And so yeah, if you want to do what you said you wanted to do, then yes, it's quite easy. You said you marked a page as non-canonical. Is that what you're saying?
No, I marked the page canonical. This is a site I'm working on for a client, and they have engaged an SEO crowd, and the SEO people wanted every page to be marked canonical, whether it was or not. That's a different discussion. But nevertheless, I marked the pages canonical, but because I'd marked them canonical, they then couldn't be included in the sitemap.
Okay, so that's super odd, because it's the whole point. Like, if you mark a page as canonical, then it should be in the sitemap.
Exactly. And I reached out to the developers, and they said, no. If it is canonical, it can't be in the sitemap. This doesn't make sense. And they're a rather large company, also based in Europe. And anyway, I won't mention their name, but I just found that it was awkward.
That doesn't make any sense.
Do what I want. Really?
No, it does not. It certainly does not make any sense. That's a definition. Actually, the most common problem is the other way around. Like most extensions building a sitemap, the problem they have is that they just take all the links on a page, on the website, and stuff that into a sitemap, which is not what a sitemap is for, and is not what should be done. Only canonical pages should be put in the sitemap. This is what you're going to see here. See, About Me is the canonical page, and About Me Custom, the copy I made, is non-canonical because it's a copy of the first one. So 4SEO saw that. By the way, you can see that you didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to mark it as duplicate. It's done automatically. And if you still want, for some reason, that page to be in the sitemap, then you press yes here. I hope is it big enough so that you can see it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, okay. So you just press it here. Yes, it means I disagree with whatever 4SEO decision was, and I want this page to be in the sitemap regardless. And yeah, it's gonna be there. But honestly, I'm not sure what I'm not sure what that could actually, what you described the situation with that other extension could mean. I don't. There's something odd in there. There's okay. One thing I see often is a little bit of confusion with the word canonical. There's something really confusing with canonical for most people, is that a page, a canonical page, there's a confusion between the fact that a page is canonical and the fact that a page has a canonical tag, which is something entirely different. And the confusion lies in the fact that if a page is canonical, normally it should not have a canonical tag. It is the duplicates that should have a canonical tag pointing at the canonical page. And sometimes there are just too many instances of the word canonical there, and people tend to get lost in the process. I have a blog post about that, actually, just with a kind of a drawing, just to a sketch trying to explain that. Maybe there was a kind of a confusion in the discussion. I don't know, because yeah, if a page is canonical, not all canonical pages should be in the sitemap, because there are some. What you want to have in the sitemap is are pages that are likely, or you want them to rank for something. So, for instance, typically, an About Us page is interesting. You might want that to rank, but maybe a Contact Us, the contact form, you probably don't want that in your sitemap. You're not going to exclude it with the robots.txt, but in your sitemap, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It's okay to have it. It's not useful. Maybe that's a bad example, but if you have a large e-commerce website with many pages, maybe you want only your category pages and your product pages there, but you certainly don't want your user account pages there. Or there are many pages you don't want them in the sitemap because they are a waste. You don't really want Google and Bing to waste time crawling these pages and working on them. So, but the sitemap is a tricky thing. And the one last thing that people don't really like is often they spend a lot of time working on the sitemap. And if you have a smaller website, like the Google documentation mentions 500 pages, they say you don't need a sitemap at all. There's no use. If your site has a few like 500, 1,000, a couple of thousand pages, then you start maybe needing a sitemap. But if you have a website with 20 pages, don't bother. It's fine. It won't help. It won't do anything because the site is small enough for them to they'll crawl anything anyway. They don't care about managing how often and which pages they are going to crawl. If you have 100 pages and 200 pages, they're going to crawl anything. For them, on their scale, it's way too small to bother about the sitemap. So yeah, that's what the kind of thing you get.
Quick
Robert,
question.
Robert?
Yeah, so Yannick, as you know, someone who does have trouble getting my head around canonical, in regards to the examples that you've given there, if in 4SEO I find, oh, that's the page I actually want to be canonical, that's the one I wanted to go to, I disagree with 4SEO's choice or whatever, so I can fix all of that up from there. Does it get overwritten, or does it take into account that I've made those decisions as to whether I think this should be, I've added the canonical and it leaves it?
No. Yeah. Like let's say you think About Me custom is the one you want people to and Google to find this one. You're going to say About Me is not canonical. I don't want it into the sitemap. And About Me custom, the second one, yes, that's the one I want, and yes, I want it in the sitemap. That's all you do, and from there the sitemap is rebuilt. And About Me custom, previously it had a canonical tag pointing and telling Google, hey, this page is no good. In fact, this is the one that you want to look at. and this one is a copy, and this one is the original. Now, because I pressed yes and I said this page is canonical, then now About Me Custom is getting a canonical, saying this is a good page. It's not a duplicate anymore. I consider this good, and this is of course being saved separately. And you can wipe out. You can even uninstall 4SEO and install it back, and it's gonna be there unless you manually switch it back to.
And I don't have to go into say about me and then put in a canonical tag pointing to About Me Custom.
Oh no. That's the whole point. That's the whole idea of having 4SEO being a crawler and looking into each page and also monitoring changes in pages all the time. It's always analyzing that, is that I can figure out this automatically. That the whole 4SEO concept is that the background crawler is analyzing pages to figure out by itself these relationships between pages automatically, because now you see it. But of course, because this site has maybe 50 pages, it's just the Joomla sample data. But if you have 1,000 pages, there's just no way you can figure it out yourself. And if you are using an extension for e-commerce or a directory or whatever you can think of, then you're never going to be able to figure this out. So it has to be, for instance, if you have because I'm thinking about Virtumart, for instance. Virtumart also puts some canonical tags themselves in some pages. So 4SEO can see that, and it sees whatever canonical has been put in there, canonical tag has been put inside the page by the extension producing the page, and it takes that into account when doing these pages analysis. So by hand, it's really, really, really hard to do. Really hard to do.
Yannick, what about something like Easy Blog, which generates like a URL for a post, but then there's also a URL that's within the category that the post might live in?
Okay, so the way it works is that, let me just, there's an algorithm. So when for SEO, so the first important thing is that for the most part, it doesn't care how the page was created, which extension was created it or not. It looks at the content. And the second thing is, despite what just I said, for each page, it's going to try and find and build some kind of ID which shows how it was built. So for instance, it found that this particular page was generated by using content. The view was article, and it was article 12. And there's more to it, like the menu item or things like that, but I discard that. And then if I go to the copy I made, which is this one, it was the same. And from a Joomla standpoint, the difference is that it's a separate menu item. But when I try to understand which page is what or how it was built, I discard everything that's not useful. And so I found that this second article, this second page, which has a different URL, is also created by content, and it's an article, and it's article 12. So then I can see that they are in fact the same page. That's how it works. This is the general overview, but it's more complex than that. But so meaning that when I do that for third-party pages, I have the similar process, and if I find that there are the same pages, regardless of the URL, the point is that you don't want to base your analysis on the URL. You base it on the internal variables used by Joomla to build the page, Joomla or third-party extensions. That normally works with any extension.
Yeah, so to just filter on the ID for the article, basically.
Not just the ID, but the fact that it is an article, not a category, for instance, like and which extension created that.
So if there was two URLs for the same article, it will compare the article ID, whether that's in Easy Blog or Joomla Core.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's going to be Easy Blog. It's going to be
Post
let's say
ID or
here,
whatever.
it's going to be, instead of com content, it's a nicer way of putting it, but that means com content. So in your case, it's going to be com easy blog.
Yeah.
And probably, I don't know, maybe easy blog isn't, I think it's item they use. So it's going to be a different string here. It's going to be a different representation. But the point is that between two easy blog pages, if there's a category and if it's an item, if it's the same item, at the end it's going to be the same ID.
Yeah.
That I build here.
Yeah.
The same identifier, like the same. I call that an item. It's a representation of exactly which content is being displayed at this particular URL. So it's not perfect. It doesn't work all the time. I can be fooled sometimes, and that's why you can always override manually.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Okay, it's the complicated part. If we get that right, we're good. So because I don't want to spend the whole evening for you, because it's going to be probably late soon, let's move on a little bit. On this particular page, which is really your dashboard for all the content, you can click on any URL, and you've got metadata, social network, and aliases, and I want to show you that. So on metadata, that's related to essentially the page title and the meta description. When you open a given URL, it's going to show you a preview on mobile or desktop of what the Google representation of your page is going to be in the search results, or at least what we hope. And then you can see here that the page title and the meta description are currently the ones from Joomla, coming from Joomla, however they've been created. And then you can type typography custom title. So you type something here, and it gets to override. It's starting to override. You can see it's custom here. So whatever you type here is going to be overriding whatever is coming from Joomla. So for the title and for the description here. Okay, and now it's custom. Oh, by the way, you can see that I didn't have to save. It's all happening automatically. So that lets you override page title and description for every. Sorry, I didn't switch off my phone. Rookie mistake. So that lets you override metadata if you are into that. I don't spend much time on that because the outcome is really small. But you have it here for any page on your website, whether Joomla or any other third-party extension. You got a for free. You got a QR code that you can save and use on your printed material. And if you're into canonical URL, you can type a manual canonical URL here. Here it's going to be overriding anything that's on your website. And you can set a robot.txt robots tag for that particular page. So this is all about overriding default value, things that comes with Joomla. You can do the same for the social network sharing. You can select an image I don't know what I have here. Yeah, you can select an image that you have on your device to override the one that's going to be used when sharing the content. And you can type a custom title just used for Open Graph, so for social network sharing, custom description, likewise for Twitter, X. And you have a direct link to validate the page on the Facebook debugger to see if it all works, which I can do because I cannot do because it's a local website running on my machine. Now we are getting, and then you got an aliases page. So that's a little bit different. Let me see, I'm on typography. So typography is this page. Well, I could show you that, like custom title. And so now if I reload the page, I've got a custom title here. And yeah, aliases are the simpler version of redirects. So I have created here, if you input something here, alias 2, I save aliases here. And if I go here and I type, it's a redirect. So if you want to do this, it's gonna redirect to the source page here. So you can have the main URL here for the page, and you can add a number of redirects here. So these are simple redirects, one-to-one. You type something here, and it goes to the original page. So that's what you can do page by page, let's say. And while I'm going to skim through it, but you've got a whole, because it's getting long, but you got a whole redirects manager here where you can have much more complex rules to redirect things. All the rules work in the same way. You can set up a rule with conditions on where and when the rules are going to run, and then you decide what to do. This particular type of rules here is about redirect. So I can say, like I have these URLs with a space, for instance. That was just a random example that I took. I want to redirect to some other URL. Let me say that. The most common use for this is to say, which you have redirect category. So I want to say that my all the pages in my blog, I want them to be redirected to news. Okay, so that saves you using HTXS rules, which might be more complex, and you need to edit a file on your server. So you have a whole manager here which can do things pretty complex, but at the same time always much simpler than having to fiddle with rules in your HTXS. Some people are familiar with that.
Can you redirect to an external URL? Yeah.
Oh yeah. You redirect here to HTTPS, whatever. Yeah. You can use, if you want to get your hands dirty, you can use regular expressions as well here.
Yeah.
Here and there, and you can have things like I've seen people do things like, for instance, when they had 2 levels, so you have 2 levels, maybe subcategories, and you don't want that anymore. You remove 1 level, so it's going to be smartly redirecting your pages like that, and it's going to remove 1 level of categories, for instance. So it's pretty powerful. There's a whole lot of options. This method of running rules also is pretty powerful. You can be very accurate still without having to. So this is not a multilingual site, but you can specify languages. You can run the rule for some components only. For contact, you want to do something for contacts, and this interesting part only for some categories, only for some users. Like if you want that particular redirection to only happen for guests, you select a group. Or if you want your rule to only happen for all groups except the managers, whatever, you can select. So the point is, and you can also, interestingly, you can run a rule, a redirect, but also you'll see that the mechanism is the same for everything else based on the value of a given custom field.
Nice.
So it's going to be it's not in order here, but the rule mechanism is used everywhere. The rule mechanism is used everywhere. So if we go back to structured data, for instance, which is the next big thing, you can by default 4SEO is going to generate structured data, schema.org, for all your Joomla articles. Schema.org. Yeah, you see, so I didn't. I didn't have to do anything. This is just stock Joomla. I installed for SEO, and you've got a valid breadcrumb. So again, it's a bit technical. Sorry about that. But it's if you're into schema.org, this is all generated automatically. I didn't have to do anything. And that includes logo, default address. You know everything about me now. It's all generated. But if you want to go further and you have some specific needs, then you disable, or you don't even have they take over. So if I have pages on some parts of my website that deals with events, I'm organizing a Joomla day, then I create a rule that says that on the Joomla days / on all Joomla day pages, these are events. So I want for SEO to create an event type structured data, and then you configure everything that you need to configure for an event.
So you can set up,
data.
set up. Can you kind of set up your own custom structured data or add custom fields to the structured data?
Yeah. So yes and yes. So there are some fields that are mandatory.
We have someone who's not here tonight.
Yeah, okay.
Someone who's not here tonight has done this a lot, so they would be interested, I think.
Yeah, so there are some fields that are mandatory. They need to be filled, and therefore you need to fill them. Like the name of the event is mandatory. So you have multiple options. You can say automatic, and if you do that, then it's going to use the page title as the name of the event. Then you can select custom field, custom value or field. So and you have some tags, but let's say I can type Joomla day 20 or 26. You can type a manual, title, or you can use the title page, or you can use a custom field. Again, so for the name, you say the custom field, the event name is in the, okay, so there's not whatever I have here. Use this particular custom field for the name. And now, if that's not enough customization for you, then at the end of the page, you got event is pretty bad because there are like dozens of parameters that you need to configure, but many of them it will find them automatically. And then you've got here a custom code to include, so you can type some raw structured data here. Nobody really wants to do that, but if you have to do it,
we have someone in the group who does.
Yeah, and so you can. This has to be valid JSON, and it will be merged in with the other fields. Now, if you want, and if the question is, yeah, let's forget about that, and I just want to input the entire schema.org, I want it to be my own, you got two ways again. You can use a custom field here, so you can attach some custom JSON to your article. And let me close that. There's also, amongst the SEO tools that we have here, you can define some SEO rules, and one of them is raw content. So you can say, on these particular pages, I want to insert this content, whatever that is. Just after the head tag, before the head, the closing head tag, and here you can put some whatever JSON you want to inject. JSON, you can inject CSS, you can inject HTML, you can inject anything right here. That's one of the more generic SEO tools that 4SEO provides. So yeah, see, I had an example here, custom structured data. That's exactly what you would want to use. You want to say that on the shop or whatever new pages, I want to add this particular schema.org.
Very nice.
Yeah. But again, that's not specific. That's raw content, what I call raw content. Whatever you put there, CSS, JavaScript, text, raw HTML is gonna inject it into the page wherever you want it to be. Okay, so that's for structured data. Then for SEO, once it's
Sorry,
analyzed,
Yannick, could I do that for a category of articles or something?
Sorry, what's that?
With the raw content, could you do it for a particular category of articles?
Yeah, because it's just like the structured data or anything else.
Yep.
You start by telling when to run. When do you want this particular rule to apply? And so you can define the category by URL. Like if you have, let's say you have a blog and it's the Joomla category that you want to put this, then you're going to do that. Any page which URLs look like blog, Joomla category, and then a star that says any article in there. If that doesn't, if there's no URL structure that works for you, you can say, I want to use that on these categories.
Yep.
You select this category and this category, or the opposite. You're going to say on all categories, but the uncategorized content. And that defines when.
I've got a client who's tracking HubSpot with a JavaScript, and we've got it built into our template, but it's tracking a whole lot of pages we don't need to track in HubSpot, but I could get around it by using this. So
yeah. The alternative is indeed to use some PHP code in the template. That's if you can do that, it's certainly very effective, and you write code in your template to either inject or not the JavaScript, but you can certainly do that here.
I was looking at doing that, but this looks like it might be a simpler solution because I really only want to track certain engagement with certain types of pages in there. And
if you can define, so the options for you here, the options you have here is you can define a rule based on the URLs, these pages. And then you got, so that's a little bit special here, the home address, the domain, because sometimes people have the same website running under multiple domains. I don't recommend that, but that happens. Based on the language, you can specify one or include languages, specific components, specific categories, specific users. That means user groups.
Yep.
Based on the custom field value. And something that's probably not so common, but you can run the rule between dates so that you can, when you run a campaign, for instance, or when you run something for the Cyber Monday or whatever, you can have something special happening on the website just between two dates, and you don't have to be there to enable or disable things. So, and these criteria actually. That's how you define most of the things that you do. Like we saw insert raw content, but you can you have a number of things that are useful when you do SEO at some level. You can format the page. Like if you want to have a page title, and you want to say on some pages on a website, I want to say Black Friday deals, 30% off. So for a given period of time, you can say on all the page titles of my websites, or only some, maybe in the shop only or whatever, I will add this to my titles.
Yeah,
might be useful, and I run it only, either on some pages or on the entire website, or maybe just the home page, and only from this date to this date, and so on. So it's pretty flexible. And these are things that are, it's borderline SEO, but it does happen. Like, let me see another one that you can do. So metadata, you can have some custom metadata. You can have exclude pages from the sitemap. We saw earlier that you can include or exclude pages from your sitemap manually, by pressing buttons, but sometimes you can say, I want to exclude a whole range of pages from the sitemap, and you can do that here with a rule.
Right.
For instance, here there's a rule that doesn't work by default, but you can say, I want to exclude my pages from the sitemap after 60 days. Like, that's useful for websites with a lot of contents, lots of articles. Like,
Yeah, you could get rid of old blog content things or whatever that you didn't.
For instance, but some people like news websites which can publish like, I don't know, 200 articles a day, they don't want their sitemap to fill up with all these things to focus on something, on the more recent page. So you have that ability here, which is obviously not for everyone, because not everyone want to use that. But and then so we are deep in here, but it's more of details. But it shows you what you can do still. There's also a last generate feature, which is to block access, because sometimes you want to be able to block access either for some people or for search engines or for limited period of time to some pages. So you can say, for instance, you have a forum and you're working on the forum, and you want to put the forum offline, which means returning a 503 status code. You can do that here while keeping the rest of the website working normally. So you have a site offline sign, if you will, but just for some sections of the website. Tools. These are tools really when we go real deep. And while we are at it, let's finish that part. There's also a replacer. A replacer, I'm sure most of you use, if you have a need for that, you use a RE replacer from Regular Labs. That's probably the most famous extension. But I wanted to have one here. That's pretty powerful as well. So that, in my case, initially, what I wanted to be able to give, to give the ability to, I wanted to give users the ability to essentially create links automatically. So now I will have an option where I'm just going to say replace. Whenever you find the word Weblur replacer, replace that with a link going to weblur.com. So that's the basis of it. You know what a replacer is probably, and there is a number of additional options. Where to look for that test. You don't want to perform the replacement everywhere, because sometimes it can break links and so on. So there's a number of options to make it work. But you have that inside for SEO as well, which is always a good thing. Reduce the number of extensions on a website is usually easier, cheaper sometimes. Most time, like if you have some experience with in the field, you know that, and that was a design goal at the start. I wanted to have everything, like many people really doing SEO. They would have like a metadata extension. They would have a structured data extension. They would have something to do redirects. There's something in Joomla to do redirects, but it's not very powerful because it's only working with a 404 needs to happen. So that's a pretty big limitation. And it's not generic either. Then you would have an extension for sitemap. So sometimes, and you would have an extension for the replacer. So sometimes I have had people replacing 4 or 5 paid extensions with just one, with the added benefit that if you have all that data inside one single extension, it's faster, much faster, because I only have to, like the page title and the meta description, for instance, are used to build the structured data, and they are also used to build the open graph and Twitter cards, social sharing metadata. If you have 2 extensions, they need to read this information twice from the database. But for SEO, we only read that once. So there is absolutely a speed benefit to having only one extension, and that was a design goal from the start. But the one last thing I would like to mention very quickly, because I'm not aware of any other extension doing that, is that because it's a crawl, because 4SEO is a crawler and it analyzes the content of your actual pages, it can find broken links. So if you have broken links in your page, it's going to tell you that.
Yannick,
It found any. Yeah.
what about external broken links?
Okay, so normally it won't record that. You can enable that, but normally it won't, because the problem, my experience with that is, so external broken links is when there's a link broken either in Google or in other websites, and they go to your page and it's not working.
No, I mean outgoing.
Oh no, okay. So yeah, sorry, I misunderstood that. No, yeah, it's the same. It will check the external as well as the internal links. I'm not sure.
I've just proved that,
example
Yannick.
of that. Yeah.
I've just found one that's an external link that's broken. So that's
okay. See, there's one here. It doesn't matter. So it's gonna check for all links on your website, whether external or internal, broken in one way, that is with a 404, or in another way, any kind of error. And the important thing about that is, because that's interesting. It's interesting to know that you have a /blog/your modules HTML page that doesn't work. It's broken, but that doesn't help you much to fix it. So what you do is you open the Found on Pages menu, and it's telling you that this link triggers an error when visited, and here is where I found it. So I found this broken link. Okay, so obviously it's a development website. The data doesn't make much sense, and some of them I made up myself. But so you have a link here, and you can go and search for that particular page. This was already a 404, so that's probably this one. I don't know. Yeah, so that's the whole point of the broken link detection, is that it's not only finding out about which links are broken, but it's telling you where they are, and that's the whole point. That's how it becomes useful.
Yeah, I have a client. I have one website I look after, which is basically a digital library of resources. So it's built with Joomla articles, but it's essentially a directory and uses JFilters Pro. And so the client was wanting something to be able to routinely check whether there are any of the external links to the resources were broken. So it looks like this would do the job. Yeah. So there are tools to do that. You've got apps that you can install on your computer, and they will check the links that exist. They are just, it's a useful thing to have everything in one place. Yeah, we're using an online service at the moment, Sitemap Generator, I think it's called, or Sitemap Generator Pro or something. But yeah. And likewise, we also record errors, and errors are anything when you have a broken page, because people don't really, we are sometimes in SEO concerned with broken links, that I forgot to update this link, so it's now a 404, and I'm very worried about that, although it's not really that much of a concern, in fact, but it's still a bad experience for the users. But the best reason why a page from your website would be entirely and immediately excluded by Google from their results is that if you have a PHP error happening. So we record that, and we'll give you that here. You see, on that particular page about me at the time, a long time ago, there was a bug while I was developing things, and it couldn't find this. There was this particular PHP error. So that's all recorded here, and this is definitely something that you want to monitor and be sure, because this is serious. When this page here, when a PHP error happened here on this page, it's a 500 error, and Google is going to drop, and Bing and every search engine is going to drop that page immediately from their results, because it's a fatal error. So you want to
We call that, and very often you don't have a way to identify that and be notified of it. So you have that here. And lastly, still in the errors kind of thing, we have a system to replace. We have this one. Let's say, let's go to typography, and somebody types HTML, or there's an old link with HTML at the end. So, well, 4SEO comes with a error handler, or error management system, where you can have a better error display to your users. So you can see here the main difference is that you keep using your regular website, the regular menus, your regular content, and you got a custom message here happening. And very importantly, it's suggesting you what it thinks is the most likely pages you were looking for. So I typed typography.html. The actual URL doesn't have the HTML, and it found it, and it offered me to just click. So that's really useful to keep visitors on the website when they are faced with a broken link. It doesn't work 100% of the time, obviously. Like, it's a few lines of PHP running on your server. It's not Google, so it won't find the proper page people were using for all the time, but it does a pretty good job. It works by matching the URL, so it does a pretty good job. So a user will come here, and you configure that by defining rules. The same thing. It works with rules, meaning you can have different error messages and different display, display on various parts of your website. You can have error handling for your blog. You can have error handling for your e-commerce section. You define all these texts, suggest whether you want to suggest the similar pages options or not, and so on. Okay, that's a big tour. Integration, worth mentioning. Analytics, you also have, for people who don't want to or don't need to go and play with entering codes in your template, you got an analytics manager, so it knows about a lot of things, and you can, again, it's a rule system, so you can specify where you want this to run, and you can inject the code for. So we have Google Analytics version 4, Google Tag Manager, Matomo, Clarity, Cloudflare, and Facebook Pixel. So it's only a matter of selecting a provider, entering your ID, and you can have also custom code if you want. And that's enough to get analytics, a particular analytics enabled into your pages, which is something you probably want to have. Although you can use our 4Analytics extension instead of all of this. Okay. I think there's more, but we would get into really many details if I were to.
How much of that reporting and functionality is available on the front end? For instance, I've got one client that has grant makers, and they might want to be able to show some analytics reports on the front end.
Okay, so that's a different extension. It's entirely different. So in 4SEO, there's no analytics itself. What it does, it lets you inject the code for various analytics provider. Now, if you want to talk about analytics, and we do have an analytics extension, which runs entirely, it's a private analytics, so it runs entirely on your website, inside of your Joomla. It stores data in your Joomla database. And yes, this one has two features you'll be interested in. The first one is that instead of it will send you emails with the analytics results. And because we live in the day of AI, not only does it give you the main 8 numbers that represents what's happening during the day, the week, or the month, but it can analyze them and provides clear text explanation of what they are. So you receive that in your email, and at the bottom of the email there's a link, and they can just click and go onto and go on the front end. So and the users who receive these emails with the analytics results, they don't even need to be a member of the website. You just put any email address in the input field, and 4Analytics is going to send them the results. But honestly, the 4Analytics, that's for next session, because it's a whole extension in itself. But yeah, it does that.
There's people I wouldn't want to let into the back end that I might want to give some of these reports or functionality to. So yeah.
I would say if you don't want them in the back end, which is like totally understandable, they probably don't even want to go there. And I found like they're receiving these emails. I think I have a better view here in the doc. Reporting, emails, report. You see, they receive that in their email, in their inbox.
Yep.
So they got like 8 main numbers, and then you have these. There are 2 type details and simpler and detailed. So they click this link and they go on the website on the front end, and there's an encrypted password in that link that lasts for 30 days. And if you click that link, you get on the front end and you view the detailed reports with all the data.
Excellent.
And then I found that in fact they don't click that. They that's these 8 numbers for these kind of people, that they are usually the most important ones. You can get and get all the details, but receiving things in their inbox, in their email client, whatever, that's on their phone, that's enough for most of these people who are not directly involved in the website management. So that's for SEO, that's for analytics though.
We can have you back next year to talk about that, Yannick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a bundle price for all your subscriptions?
Nope, I don't. And I won't. And because of the question, because we're just out of the Black Friday period, so and there's no discount or anything like that. I never do any discounts. I have a kind of policy that I made up myself, which is that if you do discounts, even bundle is the same thing. In fact, if you do discount, then you have to increase the price to compensate. You have to have a marketing budget, however you call it. You have to increase the price, and I prefer to have the lowest price I can afford, for everybody all the time. So
that's okay. Just wanted to know, because I've got about 3 clients that want most of your extensions. So yeah.
But that's true. It's a thing I have on occasion. I have questions, but also the system I use at the moment for subscription, I've been using for a long time, is not the most sophisticated one. So that's in the work to replace it, but it's a big thing. But no.
Tell you the truth, the bundle price for me isn't just about saving the dollars; it's about saving time renewing different subscriptions.
I absolutely know that, and that's the reason to change, because there won't be any reduction in price. It's essentially a matter of having like a cart where you can put 2 or 3 things and pay once. That's the whole thing. And I know that's really inconvenient. Yeah. It's really inconvenient, and at the moment I know it's inconvenient, and I know I have to do something.
I mean, if you knock $30 off for all of them, that's always good, but it's also I can get everything all in one go, and
convenience, 100% convenience.
Yeah. I think again, Mickey, I can do a bundle. Yeah, absolutely. And because we are on the topic of subscriptions and pricing and so on, all our extensions come in two versions. Oh, and the others, obviously, they are the same extension. But there's a there's a regular subscription, which is for up to 3 websites, and there is an unlimited, like the Pro. It's called the Pro subscription, which is for unlimited websites. And well, that's it.
Yannick, quick question for you on your sort of product selection. What's the difference between 4SEF versus 4SEO? Is SEF a truncated version?
Nope. No, they are entirely, totally different extensions. There's no overlap in any way. Oh. So 4CEF only does one thing. It deals with CEF URLs in Joomla.
And you can't do that in 4SEO?
No, not only, it's not that I can't or I couldn't. It's just that I don't want to. Under any
sure.
Yeah. So it comes from the background is that I used to have that SH447 extension.
I remember it well.
Some of you have used. Yeah. So oh boy, I remember that too. And it was essentially, it was doing it was trying to do everything at the same time. Like CEF URLs was really the root. It would create the URLs, and then all the SEO features were kind of grafted onto the CEF URLs management. So if you didn't have the CEF URLs management stored into the database, there was nothing else. And that was unmanageable because some people had some already existing websites, so they didn't want to or didn't need to or didn't feel like they wanted to have these URLs stored in a database, which has great benefits, but they didn't feel like it. So tying the two things was really an issue. Okay. So in 2020, when I started rebuilding from scratch everything, I definitely split the two, and they are now they are aware of each other. There are some places where they need to be aware, but essentially they don't. They are not aware, and they don't care whether 4CEF is running or 4SEO is running. And for those not less familiar, like the main goal of 4CEF, there are two main goals with 4CEF. The first thing is that it will create about the same URLs as SH447 was creating, meaning if you had a Joomla 3 website with SH447, then you can use 4CEF to maintain on Joomla 4, 5, and 6, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You can use 4CEF to maintain the same URLs on your updated website. Mm-hmm. And the main purpose of managing CEF URLs in Joomla is related to canonical and duplicates. It's really easy with Joomla to create duplicates because of URLs are based on the menu systems, and the menu items. And if you have, say, a category with subcategories and items in these subcategories, and all of a sudden you decide that you want to create a new menu item that goes directly to one of these subcategories, then the URLs of the articles inside that subcategory are going to change, because Joomla now sees, there's a direct menu to that subcategory. I'm going to use that to build the URLs of the articles there. And now you just, you didn't think about it. I need it's going to be convenient if I have a direct link on my main homepage to that subcategory. You create that submenu, and all of a sudden, you have 100 articles. They have changed. The URLs have changed. You got 404s on the previous ones, and all URLs. So what this extension is doing is that it ensures that the CEF URLs for all your content is independent from the Joomla menu structure. Meaning you can change your menus however you like. The URLs are not going to change. You can have drawbacks if you base things on menu, like displaying modules and so on. So you need to pay attention to that. But the main goal is that the URLs are independent from the Joomla menu structure. and sometimes it's. I mean, I use it all the time. I'm always using it, but again, I'm partial on that. But yeah, it's not for everyone. That's why these days I focus more on 4SEO, which is more global. But yeah, so to get back to the initial question, they are entirely separate, no overlap or anything. They are barely aware of the existence of each other.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's great, Yannick. Thank you.
One quick technical question for you, Yannick. Notice that with the components, updating is instant. So what have you built the front end with? What is it, a JavaScript framework or?
Yes. All my extensions are built using Svelte, which is a Svelte, which is a modern JavaScript framework, super easy to use, super nice, and that gives me reactivity. So if you want to get into it, it makes all these things, and like if I launch an analysis, for instance, you can see the manual analysis. It's running, but I can still. Oh, sorry, it was too quick.
Yeah.
But I can, while it's happening, I can still, keep going and navigating elsewhere, and it's really and what's still happening in the background. So it's really nice. So it's Svelte. Yes, it's JavaScript. It's also what allows me to be confident that it allows me to run it on Joomla 3, 4, 5, and 6, and be super confident that when Joomla 7 comes in, it's going to be rather easy to adjust to it, because I don't rely on the user interface from Joomla that much.
So do you just load that as like a web component into the view?
No. It's regular HTML. It's regular HTML, and there's a little bit of CSS to, avoid the Joomla admin template spilling into the my own code here. But it's not a web component, because a web component makes things a little bit more complex. This, for instance, is a web component. That's the AI. That's the AI assistant, and this part is a web component, because I need to be able to show it like literally everywhere. So when you open it, it needs to be able to open everywhere and not having the CSS spill in, and so that's a web component. But inside the web component is still Svelte and Tailwind. The CSS is made with Tailwind. I found all this again when I rebuilt everything from scratch in 2020. I figured I would do something more modern. And
that's great. Thank you.
Today, nowadays, like having to go from page to page and have a full page reload whenever you navigate to one place. You want to enable this and this, and it's we are more used to user interfaces that are more reactive to what a user do. So
cool. Thank you.
Okay.
That's great. Thanks, Yannick.
I'm not sure. I think I stopped sharing, right?
Yes, you have. Yeah.
No.
Thanks, Yannick.
I'm still sharing.
Hello.
Okay. No. I was part sharing. No. Yeah, that's me. Hang on. No, that's me here. There's so many buttons. So that's what we do. We spilled out to other extensions, unfortunately. So it's been a long. It's like 2 hours, but sorry about that.
No, don't.
It's easy to get sidetracked.
No, that was excellent.
Okay.
Thanks, Yannick.
You're very welcome.
I'm
very pleased that you didn't leave it to me to do the demonstration, Yannick.
Because you were supposed to be the one doing it, actually.
Yeah, but
before SEO 1.
Then I might have to wait a little bit longer and get my head around everything. Much better.
Well, you never know. You never know, because sometimes I kind of get carried away and I go into too many details, and then you're kind of drowned drowning into all these information, and it's kind of hard to extract the useful bits. So I mean, for me, it's ideal if you, a user, you start explaining how it works and all of that. It's perfect for me, and you get a different perspective also, which is really interesting often.
Well, I found things out about the systems that I didn't know. Well, I mean, clearly I don't know. I've got a learning curve. It's not a terrible thing to say, but I have got a learning curve, and it's going to take a while to get across it. But it certainly made me think about things.
It's and then there's the thing that this is the tool, and most of it is automated, but a large part is cannot be automated, because at some point there's an SEO strategy and a marketing strategy and a content strategy that's entirely up to you and your particular customer website. And that's the only thing we can do is provide the tools, but then you have to do it. And that's probably the biggest learning curve, I would say. Yeah. Okay.
All right, Yannick, thank you.
Well, I'm just we hinted at it, but like next year in February or March at some point,
that'd be great.
I'm more than happy to do a session on analytics or AI.
I will definitely have you back.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. I'm here. No problem.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for your attention and your time, and good night, because it's probably a bit late for you guys over there. Yeah. The day it was night when it was dark when I started, but now it's
see the light coming in.
Well, enjoy your day, Yannick.
I will. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Yes. Bye-bye. Thank you, Yannick. Thank you.